It's good. If he's not dead, I'll be shocked. But
Well, he's got to be dead.
he's got to be.
He's dead. It's
Just
just
right behind the shoulder. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Good job, buddy.
Well, thanks.
Good job.
Well, I'll wait until we find him. Sometimes you might prepare all summer for bow season. You get to bow season, you've done everything right. You're totally proficient with your bow or your crossbow, and when it comes time to make that shot, it deflects. This is Deer and Deer Hunting TV. You know, deer hunting is all about preparation and planning for that special week or month or months during fall. No matter how much you prepare, something might go wrong. Examples, you could shoot a deer, you could hit it perfectly, you could have a broadhead explode upon impact, you can have a bullet fragment upon impact, or you can have a deflection. When we're talking about deflections, it could be on impact or it could be before impact. It could be the arrow hitting brush on its way to the deer. It could be wind deflecting it. I've seen that in a case of a strong headwind. Or it could be the limbs of your bow or crossbow hitting the blind or something in front of you as you take the shot. Numerous things can make that shot go awry.
You have to be ready for this. Now, some of these you can obviously plan for, like limbs. When you're out there setting up your tree stand or ground blind, definitely clip every obstruction out of the way pre-season or even right before you hunt. Get those little obstructions out of the way so they won't cause trouble during your hunt.
And if you suspect that might have happened, then you got to back up and think, okay, worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is that came in, maybe clipped a lung, maybe didn't, you know, and then you have to factor in the other factors on waiting. Weather is a concern, especially if it's very hot and you're hunting early season. Coyotes are a concern, so you have to play those things in your mind. So use the best intel possible. You guess what happened with that shot, and then worst case scenario, what do I need to do next steps as far as taking up the blood trail?
Deer and Deer Hunting TV is brought to you by
A prime example of a deflection happened to me this fall. I was hunting at Trophy Ridge Outfitters in Wyoming. I've hunted with Ralph Dampman for over a dozen years. Tremendous area, tremendous outfitter opportunities. I get opportunities on bucks every single year. So we get to camp. I know this routine very well. We're going to be hunting blinds either near water or near food, shooting my 10-point, very confident in that crossbow, just extremely accurate. Now this was an unusual year in the fact that it was extraordinarily hot. We're talking 95, 96, 97 degrees during the day, brutally hot. You gotta be prepared, you gotta have water, you gotta have that mental attitude. We get out there, first sit, a nice spot. It's a hayfield, which you look at and you think it's all burned up, but the deer still will eat out of it. And we had about the only water in probably a mile or two right in front of us. There's a water tank. There was one particular deer that he had, a mature buck. It had the longest brow tines of any deer that I've ever seen. But Eric said, would you want to shoot that deer? Most guys wouldn't. For me, it's about the experience and the uniqueness. I'm like, heck yeah, that deer shows up. He's mature. Yeah, I would love to. So lo and behold, that buck shows up with a good hour and a half of light. Here he comes. Walking that way, I'm going to be screwed. Okay, just tell me if he looks away.
I missed him. I missed him.
The buck takes off. I never hear the impact, which is very unusual. Normally, if you're shooting a sever broadhead and that hits, you're going to hear a pop, and you know it's over. You hear that going right through the chest. Did not hear that. The buck didn't even mule kick or anything. He runs out. All of a sudden, guess what? He stops. And he's standing there. And he's standing there, flicks his tail. 5 minutes of this. Walks away. And I was like, what happened? Well, we go back, we look at the footage. It was a clean miss.
We just got to start putting a dime on these deer?
I guess. He was out there.
Yeah.
And I had to get on my knees and stuck the crossbow out here, and the limb hit the window. We just looked at the video. But when he came out right by that blind, and he was coming straight to the water.
Yeah.
And he got up here, and a doe and a fawn cape popped out, and she started going that way, and he turned and started following her. And then he walked right past us. I'm like, he's not coming. They kept moving. The whole blind is shaking right at the shot. Well, what happened was those limbs hit, that was the deflection. So that's how easy something so simple as just fabric from a blind can set that shot awry. In my mind, I should have, in that moment, stopped and said, do I have clearance? And I didn't. And that's what happened. So the silver lining here is, you know, I really would have loved that deer, but this is Trophy Ridge Outfitters. Tomorrow is another day. I don't want to say we're down to the wire yet, but we're over the halfway point of this hunt. In early season, it's kind of like that. You know, you think you might have had it all figured out, but those deer just didn't cooperate, or it was too warm, and that was our case in both situations.
You gonna shoot one tonight, or you gonna miss?
I'm not missing. I'm shooting a deer tonight.
Okay, good.
My guide Eric had a bold idea. Eric had a bale blind overlooking a hayfield that wasn't optimal for bow hunting ranges. Eric has been my guide for years. I knew I could trust him.
You know where them deer ran in? Mm-hmm. I know it's kind of a pain. Maybe we ought to carry it down along there. Sure. So anything that comes out, we put the hay bale in the cut grass field. Mm-hmm. They're not going to think twice about it.
Yeah.
And then they're going to work their way towards this field here. Okay. Let's try that. Yeah.
Buck. It's kind of small. Hang on. There's another one. Right here. Come right here. 35 yards. Ma'am. Got him. Stay on him. The one in the back. It never gets old for me. This was a complete pick the blind up and set it here because everything had overgrown and it felt good. I heard the pop. Shooting that big sever, that 2-inch sever, it had to put a big hole through him. The shot hits its target. Deer takes off. I'm just shy of celebrating. I think I have a double lung hit on my hands. I watched that deer go up over the hayfield. I said, well, I'm just going to crust the top of that field and then wait for my guide Eric Dunn to come get us if he's not there. And lo and behold, my worst fears were realized. I smoked him. He should be laying here. I come up over the crest of that field. That deer's not, I don't see a white belly. I don't see a deer laying anywhere, and there's several hundred yards yet to the woods. So he's kind of quartering toward me.
Yeah, slightly. It's good. If he's not dead, I'll be shocked. But
well, he's got to be dead.
He's gotta be.
He's dead. It's
and
just
it's right behind the shoulder. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Good job, buddy.
Well, thanks. Well, I'll wait until we find him. It probably came out back, you know, because he's a little bit like this. But straight that way. So should we walk up there? Or?
Yeah, we'll get the stuff in the truck.
Okay.
And then we'll drive right across this little trail here.
Okay.
kind of head that way. We should be right along the tree line if nothing else.
Hopefully. Well, lo and behold, Eric drives his truck right up to the deer. You got him? Yes. You knew exactly where he ran.
Congratulations, buddy.
Thanks, man.
He's laying right there.
Yes. What an eye. Oh, he's still.
How is that even possible?
Do you? Is he standing? No, I think it got along because it was close. You know,
I mean, he was laying here with his head on the ground.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, his the exit side was a little bit low and a little bit back, but the entry side was perfect.
Yeah, that arrow must have deflected on something. Yeah. I think he's gonna be dead right where you saw him. I just don't want to jump him. He'll be dead right there. Yeah. Yeah. All right, you know, this is not made in Hollywood. This is how it happens in real life. We gave them ample time. I'm very confident that we're gonna find that deer. We back out, we come back, we eat a quick dinner. We're back out there within an hour. Didn't take us but 5 minutes, maybe? I didn't walk all the way.
Oh, okay.
I saw the eyeball. Yes.
Good job, buddy.
Thank you very much. Whew. That's the entry.
It went straight down like this.
It went straight. It deflected and went straight down, and it's coming out the guts here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is real life. This is how stuff happens. And I know it's a cliche and it sounds kind of trite, but you know, that's a reality that you face as a hunter, and that you're one of a small link in a long chain. That's real life. You know, I'm very satisfied and happy, a little disappointed that I didn't get it done right away, but Trophy Ridge Outfitters, Ralph and Lenora, they take care of us so well, and I know that every year I'm gonna have a special memory at the end of the trip.
Deer and Deer Hunting TV is brought to you by
So this whole episode has been about deflections and reflections. And this whole week of hunting, I met a man whose reflections on crossbow hunting are really interesting. Here's Ron.
I started bow hunting in the 60s, late 60s. I'd gun hunted before that a few years, but I started the bow hunting then with the compound. The culture for bow hunting was something pretty new back then. I was one of probably the few people that hunted with a bow, and I've hunted ever since. I started shooting a crossbow just a few months ago. I was out last deer season, I think it was in October or maybe November, and I've had back issues for a while, and it's getting harder to pull the bow. Interesting, I was coming back from a hunt, and we have a sporting goods store there near where I live, and so I just stopped in there and just to look at bows, crossbows. I didn't have any intention at all of buying one. I just wanted to get some information, and I didn't know a thing about them. I'd never shot a crossbow ever. So I went in and just started asking questions with the guy that was behind the counter there, and he said, well, what do you want to look at first? I said, well, then what's the 10-point? He cocked that, and then he decocked it, just took his hand off the handle, and I thought, I think this is what I want, just for the safety reason. So I asked him a few more questions, and he showed me the safety features, and I had no idea how kind of dangerous they are if you don't know what you're doing. And he said, well, what do you think? And I said, you know, I think I'm going to buy this. I had no intention, you know, going in to buy something, and I walked out with He showed me a couple of different models, and so I just chose the one that I thought would be the best for me. People kind of had the idea that Crossbow was unfair in the archery season. Maybe that's why more people don't use them. But I've kind of changed my whole attitude, and I mean, I can see why Crossbow is a good idea, especially for people that can't pull a compound maybe, or if they're a little older and they will still want to go out archery hunting. I mean, I think it's a good idea. So far, well, I've shot an antelope early this week, and I shot a deer yesterday with it, and it's just amazing. I mean, I just love it, and I might just put my compound away and use the Crossbow.
All right, whitetail hunters are always looking for sign of deer, scrapes, licking branches. This is something unique. What do you got here?
New for this year, we have the new active branch holder. We've been demoing this for years, and we finally decided to launch it this year. The neat thing about this is you can create the interaction site wherever you want to. You can set it up in a food plot. You can bury a 4x4 in the ground. In the area that I hunt, it's a lot of mature trees, so I'll actually just put it onto a tree. You can either strap it to a tree, or if you're on private land, you can drill it into a tree. But if you have an area where you get a couple of trails crossing, but there's no low overhanging branches, you can actually put those up there right now. It works great. You can just bring the deer to you.
Quick, cut a few branches, set it up, put them in, and you've got a licking branch set up shoulder height.
Yep.
You got a top one for your dripper, which stays away from the deer, so they don't interact with it. They just get the scent. And of course, you build it and they will come. I mean, if you want to draw a deer out in the open or into your shot lane, have it at the perfect yardage, here's a great way to do it.
Yeah, and it's something that we use all year too. So in the summertime or after the season's over, I'll switch to active cam.
Yep.
And just kind of inventory the deer and see what's going on out there. The other nice thing about having this, there's a wing nut on the side that secures the branch in. You just loosen that wing nut, pull the branch down, easy to fill the dripper. You know how tough it is to keep those dripper filled when they're tied up in the air. So it's nice. You can change out the branches if you need to, but just a nice little tool for your hunting.
Perfect. And I mean, these are easy to set up. You want that licking branch about shoulder height, so when the deer come in underneath it, they lift their nose a little bit and get busy.
Yeah.
And of course, your dripper is out of the way. It's away from the deer entirely, but it's putting out the scent. It's the drawing card, so it works perfectly on the angles that you've designed it.
Yeah, but this year we're coming out with the kit. It's going to be included with the active branch holder, the dripper, and then some of our golden scrape. Yeah, so for more information, go to wildlife.com.